Walk onto any Toyota dealership in America right now, and you will see a line of buyers waiting for a 2026 Tundra with a $68,000 sticker, a twin-turbo V6 they have already issued 2 recalls on, and a 10-speed automatic that nobody knows how to fix yet. Walk across the street to the independent used lot, and you will find 5 pickup trucks parked in the back row, dusty, marked down twice, ignored by every shopper walking past them. I have been a mechanic for 24 years, and I am telling you right now, those forgotten trucks in the back row will still be running long after that brand new Tundra is sitting in a dealer service bay with a blown engine and a $14,000 estimate. These are not beaters. These are not good for the price excuses. I am talking about pickups that were engineered before manufacturers started chasing turbochargers, hybrid systems, and 10-speed transmissions that grenade themselves at 95,000 miles. Toyota built its entire reputation on durability, and then somewhere around 2022, they threw that reputation in the trash to chase fuel economy numbers and horsepower bragging rights. The trucks I'm about to show you remember what real durability looks like. I am saving the best for number 1 because that pickup, in my professional opinion, is the single most underrated truck in the entire used market today. It will outlast a brand new Tacoma by 200,000 miles, and you can buy one for less than half the price. Let us get into it. Number 5, the Mazda B-Series. Starting at number 5 is a truck most people do not even know exists, and the ones who do know about it assume it is some weird Japanese import nobody can get parts for. Wrong on both counts. The Mazda B-Series, sold in the United States from 1994 to 2009, is mechanically a Ford Ranger with a different grille. Same frame, same engines, same transmissions, same parts at every auto parts store in the country. It was built on the same assembly line in Twin Cities, Minnesota. The only thing different is the badge on the tailgate, and that badge is the entire reason you can buy one for thousands less than an identical Ranger sitting next to it on the same lot. A customer of mine last spring, a young guy named who was starting a small tree trimming operation, walked into my shop with $4,800 in his pocket and asked me what truck he could actually trust. I sent him to look at a 2008 Mazda B-2300 with 138,000 miles listed at $4,400. The same dealer had a 2007 Toyota Tacoma 4-cylinder with 165,000 miles for $13,500. He bought the Mazda, saved $9,100, and that truck has been running his business for 16 months without a single repair beyond oil changes and 1 set of front brake pads. The 2.3-liter Duratec 4-cylinder that came in these from 2001 onward is one of the most boring, reliable engines Ford ever produced. Timing chain instead of a belt, no turbocharger, no direct injection carbon problems, port fuel injection that just works. I have seen these engines hit 280,000 miles on factory internals with nothing but oil changes every 5,000 miles. The 5-speed manual behind it is essentially indestructible, and the 5-speed automatic is solid as long as the fluid was changed every 60,000 miles. Average price for a clean B-Series with under 150,000 miles right now is between $4,000 and $7,500. The same era Tacoma 4-cylinder is selling for $11,000 to $16,000 for mechanically inferior transportation. The Tacoma frame on those years was the subject of a frame rot recall that cost Toyota over $3 billion in buyback. The Mazda has no such issue if you avoid the rust belt examples. When you inspect one, check the frame behind the rear wheels for rust because these trucks lived hard lives. Check the radiator support and the front control arm bushings because both wear out around 150,000 miles and run about $300 a side. Check that the timing chain tensioner recall was performed on early Duratec engine, which is documented in the service records. If those 3 things check out, you have a 25-year truck for the price of a used riding lawn mower. Number 4, the Dodge Dakota. Number 4 is a truck that Dodge stopped making in 2011, and the market has never forgiven them for killing it. Toyota saw the same gap in the lineup and refused to fill it, which is why the midsize Tacoma now costs $42,000 with options. The Dakota was the in-between truck, bigger than a Ranger, smaller than an F-150, and powered by engines that Chrysler engineered back when they actually cared about durability instead of EPA marketing slides. A few months ago, a roofer brought me his 2008 Dakota with the 4.7-liter 5.8. He had bought it 3 years earlier with 118,000 miles for $7,200. He was sitting at 194,000 miles and wanted me to inspect it before driving it from Pennsylvania to Arizona for a job. I went through the entire truck. Suspension was tight, frame was clean, compression was within spec on all 8 cylinders. The original transmission was shifting like it had 40,000 miles on it. I told him to drive it across the country without a worry, and he did. That truck is still running today. The 4.7-liter PowerTech V8 has a reputation problem because the early versions from 1999 to 2003 had valve seat issues and overheating problems if owners neglected neglected coolant changes, but from 2008 onward, Chrysler completely revised the engine with new heads, improved cooling, and variable valve timing. That second generation 4.7 is genuinely one of the most underrated V8 engines ever bolted into a half-ton class truck. It makes 302 horsepower, tows 7,200 pounds, and runs on regular unleaded. Current pricing on a 2008 to 2011 Dakota with the 4.7 and reasonable miles is between $6,500 and $11,000. A same-year Tacoma V6 4.4 with comparable miles is selling for $19,000 to $26,000. That is a $12,000 gap for a truck that does the same job with more towing capacity. Meanwhile, those same era Tacomas with the 4V6 have a known issue with the secondary air injection pump that runs $2,400 at a Toyota dealer and shows up like clockwork around 140,000 miles. Inspection points on a Dakota are simple. Check the upper ball joints because they wear out around 130,000 miles and cost about $450 to replace. Check the rear differential fluid because Dakota owners almost never changed it, and a neglected diff is a $1,200 mistake. Listen for any tick from the top of the engine on cold start. A small tick that goes away in 10 seconds is normal valve train noise. A loud, persistent tick means the previous owner ran it low on oil, and you walk away from that truck no matter how cheap it is. Number 3, the Chevy S10. Sliding into number 3 is the truck that built half of America's small businesses in the 1990s and 2000s. The Chevy S10, specifically the 1994 to 2004 model years with the 4.3-liter Vortec V6. The 4.3 Vortec is essentially a small block Chevy V8 with 2 cylinders cut off. Same engineering, same parts philosophy, same legendary GM small block durability that has been proven on American roads for over 60 years. Toyota engineers do not have anything in their current lineup with that kind of multi-generational track record. I keep one in my own driveway. It is a 1999 S10 extended cab with the 4.3 Vortec V6, a 5-speed manual, and 2-wheel drive. I bought it 12 years ago for $2,900 with 159,000 miles on it. Today it has 247,000 miles, total repairs in 12 years of ownership, a fuel pump at 201,000 miles, a starter at 224,000 miles, a water pump at 235,000 miles, and a set of plugs and wires last spring. That is the entire list. I use it every week for hauling parts, picking up appliances for customers, and driving to the dump. It starts every single morning regardless of weather, and it has never once left me stranded. The 4.3 Vortec produces 190 horsepower in this generation, which does not sound like much until you remember the truck only weighs 3,400 pounds. It tows 5,500 pounds without breaking a sweat and returns 18 to 21 miles per gallon on the highway. Both transmissions, the 5-speed manual and the 4L60E automatic, are well known to every mechanic in America. Parts are everywhere. A rebuilt 4L60E at any independent shop runs about $1,900 installed, which is less than the diagnostic fee on a modern Toyota direct shift transmission. Current market price for a clean 2-wheel drive S10 with the 4.3 Pre is between $3,500 and $7,000. A 4-wheel drive version goes for $5,500 to $9,500. For comparison, a similar age Toyota Tacoma with the 3.4 V6 is selling for $13,000 to $19,000 in any condition because the Tacoma carries cult status pricing. Mechanically, in my shop, I see them as equals. The Tacoma will not last a single mile longer than the S10, but the buyer will pay an extra $10,000 for the privilege of a Toyota badge. When you shop for one, the only real concern is rust. Inspect the cab corners, the rocker panels, and the frame rails behind the cab. If those are solid, the powertrain will outlive the body by a decade. Also check the intake manifold gaskets, because the 4.3 had plastic intake gaskets in this era that can leak coolant around 150,000 miles. It is a $450 fix and a known issue, so factor that into your offer if it has not been done. Number 2, the Ford Ranger 2.3. This is the truck I have personally recommended to more first-time buyers than any other vehicle in my entire 24-year career. The 1998 to 2011 Ford Ranger with the 2.3-liter Duratec 4-cylinder, yes, it shares the engine with the Mazda B-Series at number 5 because they are essentially the same truck. But the Ranger earns its own spot because the supply is enormous and the base trim manual transmission versions are aggressively underpriced compared to anything Toyota will sell you. A young woman came into my shop last winter looking for advice. She was a graduate student in physical therapy, broke after 2 years of school, and she needed something reliable to get her to a clinical rotation 45 miles each way every day. She had $5,200 saved up. Every person in her life had told her to buy a Toyota Corolla. I told her her to buy a Ranger. She looked at me like I had just suggested she buy a horse and buggy. If this kind of honest truck breakdown is helping you, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I put out videos every week on the vehicles dealerships do not want you to know about, and the algorithm only shows my work to people who engage. Now, back to the Ranger. 2 weeks later, she came back with a 2009 Ford Ranger XL regular cab, 2.3-liter 4-cylinder, 5-speed manual, 2-wheel drive, 124,000 miles, paid $4,600. She has put 38,000 miles on it since then. Total repairs in over a year of daily driving, 1 oil change. That is not a typo. 1 oil change in 38,000 miles. The truck simply runs. The 2.3 Duratec is mechanically related to engines used in the Ford Focus, the Mazda 3, and the Ford Fusion. It is rated at 143 horsepower, which sounds weak on paper, but it returns 27 highway miles per gallon, which is better than half the crossovers Toyota is selling brand new today. It uses a timing chain instead of a belt. Port fuel injection. No turbo, no variable cam phasers waiting to fail, no direct injection carbon buildup waiting to ruin the intake valves. It was designed in an era when Ford engineers were judged on how long their engines lasted, not on horsepower per liter marketing slides. Current market pricing on a clean 2009 to 2011 Ranger XL with the 2.3% and the manual transmission is between $5,000 and $9,000 depending on miles and region. The 4-cylinder manual versions are the cheapest because nobody wants to row their own gears anymore. Buy the manual. The clutch on these trucks lasts 200,000 miles if you do not ride it, and clutch replacement when it finally goes is $700 to $900 at any independent shop. A same-era Toyota Tacoma 4-cylinder regular cab is selling for $13,000 to $18,000 with similar miles. That is a $9,000 premium for a truck that does the exact same job. The Tacoma 2.7 4-cylinder also has a documented history of timing chain tensioner failures around 180,000 miles that run $2,800 at a dealership. The Ranger 2.3 does not. Inspection priorities on the Ranger: check the frame for rust at the rear shackle hangers and around the spare tire mount because these are the first spots to go. Check the timing chain tensioner for any rattle on cold start because some early 2.3 Duratec engines had a tensioner issue that was fixed under recall. Make sure the recall work was performed and is documented in the service records. If you see the paperwork, you are looking at a truck that will go 300,000 miles without breaking a sweat. Number 1, the Nissan Frontier with the VQ40DE, and here it is. Number 1, the second generation Nissan Frontier from 2005 to 2019 with the 4-liter VQ40DE V6. This is the truck I would buy tomorrow if I needed something to drive for the next 15 years and I wanted to spend the absolute minimum on repairs. Most people do not even realize this truck exists because Nissan barely advertised it for 14 model years. They just kept building the same proven thing year after year while Toyota chased complexity, hybrid systems, and turbocharged engines that nobody asked for. That refusal to chase trends is exactly why this truck is the king of the list. A regular customer of mine, a retired electrician, bought a 2014 Frontier SV with the 4 V6 5 years ago for $14,800 with 81,000 miles. He is sitting at $108,800. Total repairs in 5 years of ownership, 2 sets of brakes, oil changes twice a year, 1 battery, and 1 set of tires. He pulls a 4,500-pound camper from Florida to Maine and back every single summer. The truck has never let him down once. The VQ40DE is a legendary engine. It comes from the same V6 family that powered the Nissan 350Z, the Pathfinder, the Xterra, and the Infiniti FX35. It is a naturally aspirated 4-liter V6 producing 261 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque. No turbo, no direct injection, no cylinder deactivation, no variable displacement nonsense, no hybrid battery hiding under the bed waiting to cost you $6,000 at 130,000 miles, timing chain, port fuel injection, aluminum block, engineered by Nissan engineers who clearly did not get the memo about planned obsolescence. I have personally seen multiple VQ40 engines exceed 300,000 miles on factory internals. I have one customer with a 2007 Frontier sitting at 351,000 miles still running strong on the original engine and the original transmission. I have never seen a Tacoma do that. The 5-speed automatic transmission paired with the VQ40 is equally proven. It is not the most modern unit on the road, and it is not the most fuel efficient, but it shifts smoothly and lasts. As long as you change the fluid every 60,000 miles, it will outlast the body of the truck. Current market pricing is where this gets ridiculous. A 2014 to 2016 Nissan Frontier SV with the 4 V6 and 80,000 to 100,000 miles is selling for $14,000 to $19,000. A same-year Toyota Tacoma V6 with comparable miles is selling for $26,000 to $34,000. That is a $12,000 difference between two trucks with comparable reliability. The Tacoma has resale cult status, the Frontier does not. That is the entire reason for the price gap. Mechanically, in my shop, I see them as equals. I want you to read that sentence again because it is the entire thesis of this video. A used Frontier will run just as long as a used Tacoma, and you can buy one for $12,000 less. When you inspect a Frontier, there is one critical issue to check, and Frontier owners have a name for it. They call it the strawberry milkshake of death. The 2005 to 2010 models had a known defect where the radiator developed an internal crack that allowed engine coolant to mix with transmission fluid through the cooler line, which destroys the transmission from the inside out. By 2011, Nissan had issued updated radiators and most affected trucks have been repaired or scrapped by now. But you still check. Pull the transmission dipstick and look at the fluid color. If it is pink, milky, or chocolate brown, walk away from that truck immediately, no matter how clean the body looks. If the fluid is clean cherry red, you are golden. Also inspect the rear leaf springs because they sag with hard use, and replacement runs about $650 a side. Check the timing chain guides on high mileage examples because they can rattle around 250,000 miles. But that is a high mileage maintenance item, not a defect. Who should buy a Frontier? Anyone who needs a real mid-sized truck that actually works for the next decade with minimum drama. Anyone tired of paying Tacoma tax for the privilege of owning a Toyota badge, hybrid battery warning. Anyone who has finally figured out that reliability and brand reputation are not the same thing. So there it is. 5 pickups the market has completely forgotten about, and every single one of them will outlast a brand new Toyota off any showroom in America. The Mazda B-Series, the Dodge Dakota, the Chevy S10, the Ford Ranger 2.3, and the king of the list, the Nissan Frontier with the bulletproof VQ40DE. None of these trucks will impress your neighbor. None of them have heated steering wheels, 14-inch touch screens, or wireless phone chargers built into the dashboard. What they have is something the modern truck industry, including Toyota, has completely forgotten how to build. Simplicity that lasts. Engineering that respects the buyer instead of the EPA. Trucks that were designed to be repaired in your driveway instead of held hostage at a dealership service department. Next time a salesman tries to put you in a $58,000 Tundra with a 36-month warranty, a twin-turbo V6 that needs premium fuel, and a hybrid battery that will cost more than your mortgage payment to replace, you will know exactly what to do. Walk to the back of the lot and find one of these forgotten trucks instead. If you want to see which full-size trucks have actually earned a reputation in my shop for going the distance, I made a video on that subject. It is right here on the screen, and it is the natural follow-up to what you just watched. 24 years of pulling wrenches has taught me one simple truth. The trucks the market ignores are almost always the ones you should be buying. The trucks the market loves are almost always overpriced for what you actually get. Like the video if it helped you. Subscribe for more honest truck advice that no dealership wants you to hear. And I will see you in the next one. Drive safe. Take care of your truck, and it will take care of you.